Hello.
Hello. We are back once again. Yes, it's been a little bit. We've been having some stuff going on, so it took us a little while to finally get around to watching this. But we're here for the next episode of a conversation with Kely, covering this week of Big Brother 25. Right? That's what we're doing. Yeah, we're covering this week of. Oh wait, no, you're wrong. Okay. No, let me start over. We're actually here to cover the finale of Claim to Fame season 2, right? That's what we're here to do, right? That's
definitely.
Yeah. There's nothing else on the agenda, right? There's like nothing else to really talk about right now or anything like that. No, in all seriousness, we are here to talk about the show that everyone's most excited to hear our thoughts on,
Oh yeah.
We haven't talked about Big Brother. Yeah, we haven't talked about Big Brother. We haven't talked about Claim to Fame, but we are talking about fucking the finale of Stars on Mars.
Well, the latest.
Well, I would still say like it's like one big finale, like if you really combine like, the 2 episodes together.
Yeah.
Especially like what happens and whatnot. Yeah, we're here to talk about the last 2 episodes. And I will say right now, not a lot to say about this finale. No, really not at all. But before we do dive into all of that, I am here with my lovely co-host, Allie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Having this weekend off from work was really nice. Because obviously I was supposed to go to a music festival with my friend, but obviously it was postponed due to the wildfires, so rightfully so. So now I just have like a free weekend off work, and I hung out with her. I went to her house on Friday night and spent the night. Then we had a girls' day yesterday, and then I came home. And then today just had like a chill day besides going for a walk with our dog. And yeah, I'm excited because we're finally getting back on track with this after like a week or so.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're back on track, because literally like we've been talking about 3 shows and 2 of them already ended, and now we're just gonna have Big Brother until whenever the Survivor 45 cast comes out.
Yeah, and then of course and then until we of course do our season reviews for things too.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't do too much today. I worked, and then I took a nice nap. That's always fun. We love to nap. And then let's see. What else did I do? Let's see. What else did I do? I did stuff for my org. Went to therapy. That's fun. And then I watched this with you. Random thing I do want to talk about before we start things off is I tried this candy today, and I was very like unsure how to feel about it. It's Sour Patch Kids, but they're like grape flavored. But here's the thing, Allie, they're not sour. Like I just don't get it. Like it's Sour Patch Kids, but they're not sour. They're literally like sweet. So yeah,
they still sound good, but like they definitely still sound good. But like the sour.
Yeah, like yes, it does say not so sour, but like I thought that just meant that like it was gonna be like still sour, but like condensed. No, there's literally no sour at all. So if you get that, just know there's no sour, and it's a very weird experience. It's still good, but it should not be Sour Patch Kids. It should be called like I don't know, like grape kids or something. I don't know.
Also, hey Janaea, we love you.
Hello. Yes. But anyway, rant over. We're here to talk about the last 2 episodes of Stars on Mars, which, this has been like a very up and down show for me. I wouldn't say it's on the level of like Beyond the Edge, which was like completely unwatchable throughout. Yeah. But it's not nearly on the edge of like a Claim to Fame or something like that. This has been very much like a very like up and down sort of season for me, and I really did not know how these last 2 episodes were going to go. But before we do get into all that, what were your expectations going into this finale?
I was hoping there'd be a good finale, just because like a couple episodes recently have been pretty good. But the show has just been very up and down, so I was hoping it'd be good, but also I was a little worried as well that it would just kind of end on like a sour note or like or just like an iffy note, But like I would say they were terrible episodes, but like definitely not like too interesting.
Yeah, I just feel like, in my personal opinion, this is the kind of finale where it's like, I'm not necessarily upset by the outcome. In fact, I'm fine with the outcome. Actually, I'm not fine. I'm not upset with how it ended at all. It's mainly we watched like 12 episodes of this at this point, and I just feel like there should have been more to this finale. I feel like there should have been more going on in terms of like what the winner gets, in terms of like, you know, what's really at stake here. It really just felt very uneventful by the end, and I just wish they just had a little bit more to it so it really stuck out, because to be honest with you, the finale is probably the most forgettable episode of the entire season. There's really not much
a little bit
really discuss here. I think it's very rushed in the way it's all put together, and I just feel like this show just was not very well thought out. To me personally, I don't know why this had to be a TV show. I really don't. Like, there wasn't really anything like that special to it aside from like the missions and things like that. So, we froze?
Uh-oh.
Wait, hold on. Let me look on the YouTube. Oh, it's okay. I think we're fine now. But
it might have just been like it maybe just was the connection or something.
Yeah, StreamYard's weird like that sometimes. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and just get right into this, starting off with episode 11, which surprisingly not much happens, but I will say I do think was actually the better episode of the two. So Allie's gonna get into everything here, which again, not a lot to talk about.
All right, Kat is teaching Adam how to play golf outside, and it ends up going quite hard. He says he never would have expected to play golf with Cora in a spacesuit.
Yeah, I mean, the little stuff we get here, it just shows you like how little's actually going on, that we spend a lot of time in both of these episodes are just these wacky hijinks that people are doing.
Yeah, agreed. Like a lot of filler.
Yeah.
Marshawn talks to Porsha and asks why she made a life out of this, and she asks him what he's gotten out of this experience, and he says it's terrible because he can't dig in his nose when he wants to, and she says he's been doing all of that digging, farting, and belching.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before. I feel like Marshawn was kind of just here for like just for like the vibes. Like, he's not really here to like play the game and win. Like, I think he was early on, but I think by the end he was kind of just here to like goof around. And
he was just trying to be like trying to be just his fun, goofy self, I think.
Especially knowing what the end was, I don't blame him at all, because like this was nothing. Like, I thought he was just very, very fun throughout this entire season.
Oh yeah, he's so good. He sees Porsha as his bougie auntie, and who has people he connects and hollers with, and she's cool.
Well, that was funny.
I know, that was funny. I like their friendship a lot.
Yeah.
Everyone is cleaning up their space suits. I almost said spouse suits.
I'm like, what's a spouse suit? Is that something like? Is that gonna be the next season? Instead of Stars on Mars, it's like Wedding on Mars, and the whole thing is wedding themed. Is that what we're hinting at here?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a wedding.
You have insider knowledge about season 2 that I don't. Like, this is a big revelation.
Definitely. Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Adam talks to them about how it's the last few missions coming up, and Tinashe says it's crazy they've all made it this far. And then Adam says there's just 6 of them living in the Hab, and it's really hitting him that they're almost at the end of this journey. Obviously, Porsha and Tinashe are his good friends here, and they've got each other's backs, but he came here to be the brightest star, and people are in it to win it, as he is people.
Yeah, I mean, they spent a lot of time in these last 2 episodes being like, look how far we've come. We've faced so much, and it's like, yes, but it was literally a simulation. Like, be serious here. This is not nearly as impressive as the show is making it out to be. Like, a lot of the things, nothing was real, as we know. And I feel like these last 2 episodes, they just kind of said fuck it, and like it kind of just showed that like all of this was kind of just like a joke. So I don't know. I just felt it was hard to take some of these scenes seriously, because it's really not anything like this wasn't grueling by any means.
Yeah, it wasn't anything too crazy at all.
Yeah.
Porsha talks about how she woke up today, and the AI talks about how it was Soul Day 15, and she didn't even know what that was at first. The AI then tells her it's actually day 16, and she says she gives up and can't keep up anymore, and then the AI tells them it's also Mother's Day.
That was great. I love just the AI just like joking, like just bantering with all of them. And I could watch a whole show of just that.
Oh my god, the AI is so funny. This is the only kind of AI we like.
Yes. But
Porsha
also kind of
talks
weird
about.
how it was Mother's Day in August. I don't know how that works, but
Oh my god, I know. They probably filmed it in like May or something.
yeah, probably.
Porsha talks about how the biggest challenge this whole experiment has been being away from her daughter, and as she's never been away from her during Mother's Day, and knowing she won't get a big old hug from her was difficult, and she's definitely a little bit overwhelmed today. And because this experiment has a competition aspect, she really doesn't want to show that weakness. And she also talked about how much dedication this has been, and that it's brought out the fighter in her, and moms just get it done going into the closet, fight it out, or have a breakdown, and they would never know. I love Porsha.
Oh yeah.
The AI then congratulates them on all making Final Six and informs them there are only 4 soul days left, and as such, there will also be no more base commanders, and they will all be competing in every mission going forward. And from now on, every mission will help determine who is the brightest star in the galaxy.
Which, okay, let's talk about this for a second. So I will say right off the bat, I like the fact that it was, I like the fact that, oh yeah, it's always great to see you, Janae. Have a good night.
We love you. Have a good night.
Yes. But I like the fact that there are no more base commanders. It definitely ups the stakes considerably and it makes things very exciting. But I don't know if you agree with me. It felt like because they had no base commanders, like they didn't know what to do. Like there was just nothing to really there was like nothing really going on because of that. And I feel like so much of the show has revolved around like who's base commander, who's mission specialist. And when you take that away, there's just not much to like really talk about.
Yeah, there really isn't. Like, there's very little game and just like a lot of like filler and stuff. It's just like there's
I just feel like there's a lot more they could have done here. Like maybe someone gets immunity or someone gets to like someone wins and they get to decide who goes. Like I just think there was so much more they could have done to like make this exciting. And it just felt like they didn't know what to do with the absence of base commanders.
Oh, for sure. Like it was just like they definitely like if they wanted to have a season 2, they definitely need to figure out a lot of things and fix up a lot.
I'm gonna talk about that in a little. I'm gonna talk about that a little later, but yeah, we'll see.
Kat feels this was very much needed as it was a disadvantage for Paul to come in late when everyone has solidified their alliances, and now with every man for themselves, she's ready for this. The AI then asks someone to read this morning's duties. Kat takes it and tells them that they each will have to pick an item they will be leaving behind on Mars and why.
Yeah, I thought this was I thought this was really dumb, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I understand why they did this, and like I thought that, you know, it kind of gives the vibe of like, you know, if you were on a desert island and you had to get rid of something, like what would it be? But this just again, it just felt like filler.
Oh, definitely. Adam jokes with Marshawn and asks if he'd leave a bottle behind, and he says he will be leaving behind a swallow.
I thought that was pretty funny that like out of everything, he's just gonna leave behind like a water bottle.
Oh, that was so funny. Kat will be leaving behind one of her cookbooks, and Paul will be leaving behind Domino's, as it's a great representation of who he is and what he does in his free time with his friends.
Okay. I don't know what to really glean from this, but cool. Oh. Okay, well now Allie's frozen on my end, so that's not great. Okay, it's not just me. So now we just gotta wait. Okay. Well, Stars on Mars, who's here? Everybody's watching this. Everyone's so excited, you know. I just feel like this is the show that people like tune into our podcast for, right? Is to see us talk about Stars on Mars. For sure. Now we're just gonna wait. I don't have much to say here other than, we have other stuff coming up soon. Claim to Fame finale, probably Tuesday, I think is when we're going to do that. And then BB25 video tomorrow. Very excited. Lots to talk about in these last 2 weeks. So look forward to that. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think many people are watching this show. And I don't blame them because it's not the most exciting television to talk about. But we stuck it out at this point. We weren't not going to continue. We were at least going to try to finish it out. Oh my God, she's back. Hello.
Hi, that was frustrating. My connection went out for a second, so I had to restart my computer. That was lovely. Why does streamer like to do that?
I don't know. I was just saying that I don't know what information we're supposed to glean from Paul with the dominoes, but sure.
I know, it's like, okay, I guess cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Porsha will be leaving behind her daughter's ultrasound as she doesn't have many of her pictures printed and to remind herself she's doing this for her.
This is the only one I thought that was actually meaningful. It's okay, this is why she's doing this. I thought this was actually pretty effective and really kind of gave me that Porsha winner arc. I was kind of getting it from this episode.
Yeah, I literally for a while I thought her or Tinashe would kind of win. They gave me those edits.
Yeah, we'll talk about what happened, but yeah.
Adam will be leaving behind a picture of him, his husband, and his dog, which was sweet.
Yeah.
Tinashe will be leaving behind the art that she painted while she was here as a reminder of being there with them.
Yeah.
Adam says he's so proud to be there with 5 amazing other people and who have lasted this long on Mars, but the game right now is changing so quickly, and they're about to get right to the end where someone is about to win, and he's playing it fair and square so far. But he was a competitive athlete, and these goals, with so clear cut, and become a national champion and get to the Olympics and doing this experiment, he has the same mindset.
Yeah, again, I think this was a good moment, kind of showing his mindset within the experiment and things like that. Yeah. But again, not much to talk about here.
No. Everyone jokes about how they get to the brightest star, and Marshawn says Porsha is scheming before them, and they get an emergency signal.
And oh my God, it's Shatner, and he congratulates them for making it this far, and that's the best of the best, but that they need to stay focused. They've detected a weak distress signal that all crew must investigate immediately. It is emanating from 2 separate locations, and they'll have to split up into 2 teams and find the source of the distress signals. There is a lot that they don't know yet, but be warned, this is a rescue mission, and the mission will test their knowledge and earn them a mission patch. What did you think of this?
It was alright. I didn't hate the challenge or anything. It was definitely one of the more interesting things of the episode for sure.
Yeah, I like this quite a bit. I like that they're in teams. I like that, there's some stakes in that. Yeah, it created something.
The teams made it add some little spice to it.
Yeah, I think the teams made it so there was at least something to talk about, because if they weren't in teams, there'd be nothing to really discuss here. But yeah, so the AI tells them the distress signals are far too weak to get a lock on. Phase 1 of their mission is going to be to boost satellite range in order to lock the exact coordinates of each distress signal for rescue. They're then going to have to evenly divide the crew into 2 search parties and then travel to coordinates with their rovers arriving at the location. There are actually 2 pods of satellites that, once arranged in the correct order, will boost the 2 weak signals locating where the rescue mission would take place. And Tinashe then says, while she isn't the base commander, she suggests that they should split the crew in terms of type. And you could tell from this, she was trying to kind of just stick with Porsha and Adam. That's what she expected to happen here. And Porsha says that it should be her, Marshawn, and Tinashe, and then the athletes and Kat, who she jumps in with, as Adam is great at missions and Paul is her ride or die. And she thinks they'd be a strong team. I don't know if, this is what Porsha was trying to do. I think she was trying to get out Kat or Paul here. I feel like this was.
I think she was.
yeah, I think she saw it as like, Adam's been in the bottom 3 before, you know, Tinashe and I have a much better likelihood of winning this. I think we can just take out Paul, and then it's going to be mostly OGs. And I think that was mainly her mission here.
Yeah, I think that's what they pretty much all wanted. They wanted like the OGs to be the end.
I mean, as did I, because I didn't care about the newbies at all, except for Andy.
Yeah, Andy was the only like really interesting one.
Yeah. So Adam says he would have loved to be on a team with Porsha or Tinashe, but that's not how it goes. But he has to remember the team he's on right now is going to determine his future. So they're then tasked with ascending the correct planetary order, which makes Tinashe and Adam think back to a conversation they had earlier in the season involving the planet Ksan, which I don't know if we heard about this before. I can't remember if this was something that was discussed, but basically they've heard about the planet Ksan from Blue's Clues. So as soon as it started, she knows what it makes a real race. I liked this because like Tinashe and Adam are the only ones that know they had this conversation, and you can tell they're both thinking about it. I thought this was kind of an exciting moment. But
I was definitely very excited for that.
Yeah, so whoever gets the green light first will be safe from extraction and is automatically mission critical. The losing team is at risk of being extracted, which I like that idea. I like that they're in teams and things like that. There's a lot to discuss and whatnot. So while it is a tight race between both teams, ultimately Adam, Kat, and Paul are able to get to the order correctly first and are safe from extraction and also have secured their spots in the final 5. I was pretty surprised by this. I thought for sure, like, Marshawn, Tinashe, Porsha, like, that's an unstoppable force. Like, I thought they'd be fine.
I literally was shook. I was like, I thought the other team was gonna like be up for elimination for sure, but I guess not.
Yeah, but I will say, I mean, Adam carried. Like, Adam, this happened because of Adam. Like, Kat and Paul were doing what they were doing, but Adam carried. Like, he's the reason that they won here. I mean, good. I will say, good on Paul. He's had now 3 weeks of safety, I think, where he was base commander, and then he wasn't in the bottom 3, and now he's not in the bottom 3 either. So, good on him for that. I just was not expecting this.
Right?
So
very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So Tinashe is surprised that her team didn't win, as they all thought they had it in the bag. Team B now have to follow the distress signal that may require urgent attention. Team A, on the other hand, will have to investigate their signal immediately. And the rest of this half of the episode, at least, we're going to do it pretty much in like Survivor style, where we're going to talk about Team B and what happens there. And then Allie's going to talk about Team A, and then we'll regroup for the rest. So we're going to start off talking about Team B, which is significantly less interesting than what's going on with Team A, I will say. There's some stuff, you know, that we find out here, but nothing really that big. But basically, after searching for a bit, we were trying to figure out, you know, what this rescue mission was all about. I thought this was just going to be like, it's going to be like, you know, someone from the cast. Like, they're going to have to rescue like someone who didn't make it or something like that. But it turns out it's none other than William Shatner himself. You know, the whole season, we've seen him on these like distress calls, and we didn't really know if we were going to get to see him in person, but they actually get to see him. And I will say, I thought here he was like way more enthused than he's been like all season. Like, he seemed legitimately excited. Yeah. And also, a lot of people brought this up. I don't know if you noticed, William Shatner does not wear a helmet once throughout his entire time on the show. He's completely helmetless. So I guess Shatner just said, you know what, fuck it. I'm not even going to try to like make this seem like this is a real thing. I'm just going to do away with the simulation entirely. This is Australia. I don't care. Like, he just didn't give a fuck. You could tell.
Oh, it was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I just thought it was really funny how unbothered they were in trying to not make this feel realistic or like lifelike anymore. They're just like, fuck it, we're in a simulation. This is not real. So, and because I feel like the other episodes they've actually tried to like make a concerted effort to almost make you forget that it's a simulation, but here they just did away with that entirely. And this is like the first example of that. So they're all shocked and excited to actually see him. They're also surprised he's not wearing a helmet, and he promises them he's just breathing the air. And he tells them he crash landed thinking that he was a good pilot. And Captain says that he's been in space for so long and is so badass, he doesn't even think he needs to have a suit on. So he gets onto their rover, but the engine is failing at first, but then finally starts up, and he says he's going to lie back and take it easy, and Kat congratulates her team on a great job today. Shatner then greets all of them individually, surprised by how tall or short some of them are, which I thought was kind of a funny moment, because, I mean, funny. How many times has this happened where you expect someone to be a certain height, and then they're not, and then you're, like, thrown off by it? I thought that was kind of a funny moment there. Anyone who's ever had like friends on the internet and then meets them in person, I'm sure can relate to something like this. So, yeah. The AI then welcomes him to the hab, also referring to him as Shatty Daddy. So that's officially coined now. The AI has trademarked that. However, when he steps in, the crew is nowhere to be found. And so the AI then tells Adam, Kat, and Paul that they are all mission critical and can re-enter the hab and collect their knowledge patch from him. Paul is elated by how much better he's been doing after having to be in the bottom 3 almost every week. Which is good. Like, it's definitely exciting that is you know, yeah, it definitely is exciting that, like, you know, he's been in the bottom 3. I just wish I liked him more, like, as a player, as someone to root for, because there's not much.
Like, he seems like a nice guy. He's just kind of like, as a player, he's just kind of there.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the weird shit he said about Ariel, yeah.
Yeah.
But Shatner tells all of them that there's only one patch left, and it has the brightest star, and it is a team game until it isn't. Adam then feels the cat is sucking up to Shatner, as he will determine who wins. And they talk a lot about Kat in these last 2 episodes, and I'm just going to ask you, I feel like, and this is just my opinion, if this game would have ended with like a jury vote, I feel like Kat is the person to bring to the end, because everyone just seemed to really dislike her, and I think she would have probably lost unanimously if there was like some kind of jury vote or something like that.
I think it's just like a lot of things kind of like rub them the wrong way by like her attitude, what she says, things like that.
I don't really blame them, because just something about Kat, ever since she was base commander, I just have not enjoyed watching her. I feel like she's just really kind of overdone it. And
the only people she was like, literally, she was only loyal to like newbies.
Yeah, which was annoying. And Lance, of course she was.
Oh, yeah.
But they then all toast to Mars, and he says, it's been such a pleasure to meet the 3 of them. It's a long mission to Mars, and he's going to sack out as he's tired. Not much to talk about, like I said, with Team B. Cool to see William Shatner, but the real exciting stuff is in Team A, which Allie is going to talk about.
All right. Team A is struggling to get back to the hab and are told that due to the oxygen depleting on the rover, the rescue mission is unnecessary, and as a result, they will have to stay overnight on the Mars plains. And then the supply pod contains all essentials critical to their survival, and they are to use them wisely. They open up their pods, which contain a cot to sleep outside in, and it also contains a deflated tent that they are eventually able to fully inflate, and they then have to assemble some beds as well as electric blankets.
Marshawn, I mean, this really felt like they were like struggling for airtime, so they just like came up with something to like add some kind of conflict because they didn't know what to do.
Yeah, agreed. Marshawn finds a way to pop a seal so they have enough oxygen to take off their helmets. And they then enjoy a night outside. And then Shatner sends them a message saying they have managed to alert the emergency field and have for their overnight on the Mars plains. However, there is only enough oxygen for 2 of them to survive until the morning. One of them, however, will be chosen as mission critical if they can make a mad dash for the hab tonight. And using the rover's signal, supplemental oxygen, the remaining 2 will face extraction in the morning. And then Tinashe
like I said, I just feel like this wasn't this was very much like they were just trying to force conflict at this point.
Oh yeah. It was just kind of like just like it wasn't bad. It was just very like just there.
I think I just enjoyed this section more because I enjoy watching Marshawn, Tinashe, and Porsha more.
Oh, same. Like, I loved all of them. Tinashe feels she was the MVP today, as she was the only person on her team who knew the order of the planets and the solar system, and she doesn't think they could do it without her. Which is true.
Yeah.
Like, she's just very smart.
Yeah, definitely.
They start figuring out who can run the fastest, which Marshawn says he obviously can. But Porsha wants to do it, and he says she's not him, and she says he's not going that fast, though, as the Jeep is right there. And Porsha asks how they communicate with him to know if he made it, and he says they won't, and if he comes back in the morning, he made it. If not, then just know he ate their tacos, but whoever leaves is mission critical, and he asks if she wants to be safe, and she says no, but he still doesn't want to do it until he tells Tinashe to do it, and then she gets ready to go out there, and Porsha is shocked how quickly she put her outfit on.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this was kind of exciting. The idea that like one of them get to go out there and kind of avoid they get to avoid being in the bottom three and things like that. But again, just really seemed like we were struggling for conflict here.
Oh, I agree. Like, it was definitely like fun to watch, but it was just not. It was just like, really? That's it.
Yeah. I did like the moment where like they were all kind of debating like who was gonna go, and Marshawn was like, I'm good, I'm like, you guys can go, and then Porsha was gonna go, and then Tinashe like literally like got her suit on like so fast. They're like, all right.
Right? Tinashe is able to get back to the Hab, and she reunites with the rest of the crew, and they let her know Shatner was saved. She feels the home stretch is in sight with Shatner and the Hab, which is true. Like, he's officially there.
Yeah.
Porsha talks to Marshawn and says that it's already morning, but they're not coming back, and she didn't come this far to lay down and die. She mentions how there is an oxygen tank, and they can use to put on their suits and keep walking. Marshawn suggests to just call an Uber, but Porsha tells him there isn't one. That was funny.
That was the best. That was the funniest moment of the episode for me when he's like, just call an Uber.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Again, Marshawn was just like again, they were just like, who cares about the fact that like this is supposed to be a simulation? Like we're not actually in Mars. Just call an Uber.
He's such a clown. He's so funny.
Yeah.
She wants him to get up and face his elimination like a man, and he finally gets out of the tent. And then she feels in this moment Mars defeated Marshawn, and she's done. And then Porsha feels they have done so much and shouldn't be in the bottom, and she doesn't think it's fair that new people are deciding their fate.
Yeah, I agree with her on this. I really do. I think that, you know, yes, obviously at this point, like Kat and Paul have been there for a while, but still they only played like half the game that 3 people who have been there since the beginning got to play. And I just don't think, this is why I haven't liked the addition of the new people. I don't think it's been fair. I don't think that they fit in well with this cast. It feels, especially because like they haven't been willing to like work with them in any capacity. So I don't blame Porsha for feeling like, yeah, this isn't really feeling fair to me. I don't really like this.
Yeah, like I definitely get what she means for sure, because I mean, not that I hate the newbies, but like, yeah, like I prefer the OGs over that.
Yeah. Also, they can't really hear you. I think your audio is like kind of quiet.
Hello?
Oh, now you're good.
Oh, maybe because I turned off echo cancellation. But
yeah, there's like, yeah.
I fixed that though.
Okay.
All right. With their oxygen at critical levels, they are still able to run over and make it to the Hab in the nick of time. Porsha says Marshawn and her have done all the work since day one, and he is like her baby brother, and they both want to stay until the end, but they know one of them will not be walking through that door. She says there was only time she was in. She said there was only the time she was in the bottom, and they shouldn't have been today, which true.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like,
like, ugh, it's so sad. Because we're losing one of Marshawn or Porsha.
I mean, I feel like it was pretty obvious who was going to go between the two of them, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Shatner talks to the two of them over the comms, and Porsha asks for him to let the both of them in.
I thought that was funny.
That was funny. Marshawn says he knows he's the biggest and strongest person here, and now he just needs to do what he has in order to get it done. We see a montage of his experience in the experiment. He says when he got here, his expectations were to prove to himself and that his destiny is a little bit bigger than just Earth. And Mars really is his planet. So if somebody does being here occupying, he wants to take back what's rightfully his, no matter where they take him or put him, no matter what he put himself through. He's not a quitter, so if he starts something, he needs to finish it.
As usual, Marshawn is a man of very few words, but they're very, very memorable.
Oh, definitely. He's just such an icon.
Oh, yeah.
Porsha says she is here to be the last astronaut standing, and she wants to take home the title, and she can tell them right here and right now there is no way she's going home. Day one, she was standing there full glam in an astronaut outfit, and she came here to be a part of the experiment from beginning to end. She wants to make her family proud and let them know she did her best. She always felt she was going to be here at the end because she didn't come all this way for nothing, and she is in it to win it.
Yeah. I mean, really good pitch, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. She says while the two of them have a brother-sister relationship, one of them, it is over.
I feel like this was very underutilized throughout the season. Like, yes, they showed here and there, like Marshawn and Porsha interacting, but I just don't think they showed enough of it. So, like, while, yes, I definitely got the sense that they were close, the brother-sister dynamic, I mean, I don't think we got to see enough of it. So.
Yeah, like, there was a lot of things that we barely got any of.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing that they'd have to, like, fix for if they have a season 2.
Yeah.
Porsha gives a pitch as to why she's mission critical, and she says she did her best within every mission and has done what she's asked to do and excel in it, and she feels like she has done it with integrity.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly don't even think Porsha had much to say here. I feel like it was pretty obvious who was the better player.
Oh, definitely. Love Marshawn, but definitely like Porsha is the more mission critical.
Yeah.
Marshawn says that they said they all love him. He's mission critical because when they ask him to do something, he does what he's supposed to do, and that's simply what it is. But at the end of the day, it's their decision. And Shatner asks if he's throwing himself on the mercy of the court, and Marshawn says he isn't throwing himself into shit because he feels nothing but hands, and as soon as he gets to him, he'll find out how this works. It's funny.
That's great.
I know. He asks the team what really is mission critical and who fits the definition, and Tinashe says leadership, trust, and hard work should be encompassed, and Porsha checks off more of those boxes than Marshawn. Adam agrees, saying she's contributed more to life here at the Hab, and when it comes to cleaning and chores and keeping everything together, and it's great to have that strength on the missions. And Kat, on the other hand, it's a bit definitely.
Of course she does. Of course she feels differently.
I know. She's like, she just has to, like, be against other people.
Be contrary, yeah.
Oh my god. Tinashe says she thinks Kat has been playing the game, seeing how she moves, and is very strategic, and she's the only person who wants to win by any means necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's wrong about that. I think Kat is very cutthroat, but I think the problem is that she's just playing a little too hard at this point.
Oh, definitely. Paul says when he thinks mission critical, he thinks of Marshawn. But it comes down to Kat, who wants to strategically set this up, and she says if she was to pick one person who's critical in the Hab and in the field, she would choose Porsha, which Marshawn is the next person extracted.
I wasn't too surprised by this. I honestly thought, even prior to this episode, like, 6th place seems right for Marshawn. I just feel like that's what he's going to get. And he ended up getting 5th. Well, yeah, he did end up getting 6th. It wasn't... No, he ended up getting... He got 5th, right? No. What did he get? Was it 6? Yeah, it was 6.
Yeah, he got 6.
Yeah, and it just kind of felt right for him. I just feel like he was going to come up short, like, right before the finale, just because, like, it felt like at first, like, he was here to, like, play, but I just feel like by the end, he was just kind of here, just like I said, to just kind of, like, have fun, and it didn't really seem like he was here to, like, really win, so I wasn't too surprised.
Yeah, literally though, like, right at the beginning, like, first episode, I thought Ariel or Marshawn were winning, but, like, later on, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, no, it's one or the other. Like, but then after that, I'm like, no, it's gonna be Porsha, Tinashe, or Adam.
Yeah. I wasn't too surprised to see Marshawn go here.
Yeah. But we love Marshawn. He's great.
Oh, yeah.
He's just such an icon.
Yes. And if you like Marshawn, see Bottoms. He's great in that.
I'm so excited. I need to watch that.
Very funny in that. Very different role for him, but very funny.
I need to see that movie. She hugs Marshawn and says he's going to miss her, and he tells she's the VIP. And Marshawn says in an experiment like this, he's always going to be himself. When he first came in, this just felt like an opportunity to test himself in a way that he hadn't before, and it just so happened that it helped his process of growing. And he will put it like this, and this Mars is fucking cool, but it's time to go.
Very Marshawn way to end it.
Oh, yeah. It's so good. Porsha asks how they all came to that decision, and Tinashe says she far and above deserved it more and has been in it since day one and committed and all around been a good friend, a good HAB member and crew member. On her weakest moment, it's always her. She hugs her, and Adam says it was in his too, and he'll never forget that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with this. I think that there were points where Marshawn just felt a little checked out, and I don't think Porsha ever felt checked out. I think she played her ass off this entire game, and I think that, we've seen that the whole season.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, she killed it.
Yeah.
Tinashe says the OG3 definitely have a bond and have spent 17 days in this HAB together, being through so much, and she genuinely feels no one deserves to win more than they do.
Kat says, preach, honestly.
Woo! Yes. Kat says Paul and her came in within the middle of this experiment, and she knows for a fact they will be bonded forever, but Porsha, Tinashe, and Adam had already formed a strong alliance. When she's in a competition, there's something that clicks in her brain, and she'll do what it takes to get to the finish line. She talks to Paul and says there are only 2 of them and 3 of the others, and that they are outnumbered, and they all need to get some rest because it will be a big day tomorrow. And that's how.
Oh my God, the 2 newbies are gonna stick together against the 3 OG. It's very exciting. I totally could have seen this coming.
That was kind of like a boring ending of that episode.
Yeah, not really much to discuss here. They honestly could have just like done like a 2-hour episode because there just wasn't like.
Yeah, they could have just done like 11. They could have literally done like just 11 and just combined them.
Yeah, let's get to the finale here, which I will say right now, very lackluster the way this wrapped up.
Yeah.
I feel like they kind of set it up where this was going to be like a really exciting finish, and it really just wasn't. Like, I just didn't feel much excitement from this finale, but we'll get into everything here. So we start off, and already things are off to a pretty weird start. We see Commander Shatner is told by the AI it's time to address the Game 5. But at first, he's struggling to open the door, and then he finds this button that says, do not push, which he doesn't know what to do about. And the AI tells him if he were to press it, all internal life support systems will go offline, leaving the HAB exposed to the Martian atmosphere, and was placed here to test self-control, which did not go well. And we see a flashback to one of the first days of all of them trying to push it. The AI has since disabled it on Sol Day 1, but it has now been reactivated, and pressing it again will result in terminal consequences. Captain catches him, and he says it always appeals to him to do it. I don't know why we spend so much time on this. Like, this isn't a real button. Nothing bad's gonna happen. Like, this is stupid. I don't know why they wanted to focus so much on this.
Yeah, it was a little dumb. Like, I didn't hate it, but it was just kind of stupid.
Yeah. So Adam tells Porsha he is so glad to have met her and has had so much fun with her, and she's such a good person and will be sad when she leaves this competition. She jokes with him and asks if he's going to be strong when he gets eliminated. Porsha then says that she's a little anxious having made it to the end, and she really wants him to win. And she doesn't want him to win. She wants to win. But though it's a competition, teamwork has gotten them where they are. So Tinashe then says it's almost the end of their experiment there on Mars, and she's feeling very satisfied with what she's done thus far, but honestly has no idea what Shatner has up his sleeve. And I myself was wondering, how is this really going to work? There's 5 of them left.
Yeah.
We've got to get down to it in an hour. And I think you can agree with me. This felt like really rushed the way they ended up doing this.
It wasn't the most interesting besides like the end.
Yeah, so Shatner calls them all in and tells them that they will be starting their day with tough stuff. They are now at the moment of truth. There are 5 of them left, and they'll be reducing those 5 to 3, and then 1, and that one will be the brightest star in the galaxy patch, and the winner will have the opportunity to speak to the world. They are all excited about this, and he says that this is a message coming from their hearts, and it could be the biggest and best thing they've ever done with their lives. So let me break that down for you. After 12 episodes where there's been a lot of random shit happening, the big prize at the end is literally just a patch, and it's all down to a transmission.
It's literally just a patch, and they're like trying to like put a message on a thing, and then just being the winner. That's really it.
Yeah, it just... Listen, I understand they don't necessarily need to have money involved and things like that, but there just needed to be more to this. Because, like, if I was approached to do this show and I was told all you're trying to do is get a winner's patch, I would be like, yeah, no, fuck you. Like, it's just simply not enough. And I honestly don't know why so many of them ended up sticking it out as much as they did. Just because I just feel like this is such a lame way to end the show. I just feel like there should have been more here, whether it was like some kind of trophy, whether it was, just a little bit more of a fight, whether it was like a jury vote. I don't know what they needed to do. I just know what they decided to do was not exciting to watch at all. So I just felt like this was very unceremonious the way they wrapped this all up.
Oh, definitely.
So, yeah, not great. Not great at all. So, basically, they start their prep process right now, and it's not going to be easy. He says in order to make this elimination work, they will be writing out one question that they all want to ask each other. The goal being to gain enough information to vote for which 3 are the most mission critical. And Porsha thinks that this is a cool twist to have them be able to experience this life on Mars and speak back to Earth from their perspective. She says she loves being asked questions in case we couldn't tell. You could tell they were trying. They were trying the hardest they could to make this exciting, but it just wasn't happening. It just was not happening. But Adam says he really loves Porsha, but she chose Tinashe and Marshawn over himself yesterday, so he was really disappointed. I wanted to see more of this. Like, I wanted to see more of him, like, getting upset, maybe trying to make, like, a side deal of sorts with, like, Kat or Paul. Like, I just feel like there's more that they could have done here, considering, like, he was upset with her with that, and just, like, a lot of things in this show, they just don't really spend a lot of time on it, so... Kat says that she needs to get information about each of these crew members, and she wants to do it in a way that's strategic as well, because some people are going to get extracted today. Tinashe then says as she started writing the questions down, the juice started flowing. She says she thinks Kat has been playing the game, and we see the exact same confessional that she had in the last episode. I don't know if anyone noticed this. I noticed it immediately. I don't know what happened here, but this was literally beat for beat the same exact thing she said in episode 11. I don't know if they were intentional with this, but what do you think happened here? This was crazy.
I don't know. It's like people are just like really rubbed off from like a lot of things Kat has said and stuff. It was just crazy.
Yeah, I just feel like I just feel like in general, like it would have been great to have this segment, but you don't need to put the exact same scene that was in the last episode in here. Like, we get it.
Yeah, they literally just like add the same thing, and then like,
yeah,
why didn't they just add something? They should have just added something new about that. Like,
yeah, it feels like they had no other. Yeah, I feel like they had no other footage to like really show involving this. And it's like, you know, maybe you don't even need to show this necessarily, but basically, she says that makes her a threat. She also notices that Porsha and Paul are bonding and that they're potentially playing a little bit of a game here. We don't get to see like any of this. We get a very brief segment where they're like going back and forth, asking each other questions. And I don't know why they didn't spend more time on this. Like, this could have actually been interesting to watch. Like, maybe Paul makes like a deal with Porsha to cut Kat or something like that. Like, there's more we could have seen here. And I just feel like they didn't want to show us like any of it. So
I know, like
there
was a lot of things that they left out. I wish they'd shown things like, or even just like put like secret scenes on YouTube or something.
I don't think anyone will watch those, but yeah. So they're then told that it's time for the crew evaluations and to then be advised that following this session, they will vote for the 3 that are the most mission critical, and the bottom 2 will be extracted immediately. So Allie's going to go ahead and talk about this section of the episode.
All right. Tinashe starts the session off by asking Kat if she made every decision here for the right reasons, or if she was more focused on strategy. Then Kat says when she came in here, she knew some alliances had been formed, and they had all been there before, her and Paul, but throughout it, she tried to keep her head very focused on what's fair. And she said she came in here and tried to play as fair as she could, but when she came in, she started cooking for the crew like big meals, and she feels it was a huge success.
Yeah, and immediately I have a problem with this particular competition. This doesn't feel like a competition. This feels like jury questions. Like,
yeah, literally, it's like jury questions with like 5 people.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how they would have incorporated a jury here, but it feels like they needed to somehow, you know, get the past celebronauts that have departed. Like, I know that they probably went off back to their homes or whatever, but they could have done like a Zoom call or something. Like, I feel like there was a way to like get them in there to ask these questions, and then they should have determined like who actually was mission critical. I think that would have been a lot more exciting to me than just watching 5 people just around a table being like, okay, well, now I get to ask you this. Now I get to ask you this. It felt very like, it felt very like rehearsed and unexciting. And I didn't really like this at all. What did you think?
Yeah, I wasn't really a big fan either. It was just like, I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
Like, it was just kind of like, it was just like random in a way.
Yeah, definitely. There was a lot more that they could have done here, I thought.
Definitely. Adam then asks the next question and decides to ask Porsha after her first entering the experiment and who she thought would make it all the way to the end. And she says Tinashe, as she's very strong and has these qualities that are attractive to her as a person who would be able to rise in circumstances. I mean, Tinashe definitely like gave me winner vibes for sure.
Oh yeah. The whole episode, honestly, I felt like, okay, Tinashe is gonna win. Everyone feels the best with her.
Oh yeah, literally.
And I do think if this was like, again, a jury vote, I think Tinashe wins pretty much by a landslide. Mm-hmm. So.
Oh yeah, I think if it was a jury, like if everyone was a juror, I think Tinashe beats everyone.
Yeah.
Porsha then asks Adam why he feels like he's the brightest star in the galaxy, and he says he thinks he's proved that he shouldn't be underestimated and can be a serious competitor. He's very proud of himself. He made it this far, and he thinks in his own eyes he is a bright star. And then Adam says he doesn't know if Porsha at this point sees him as a serious competitor.
Mm-hmm. Which, again, we don't get to see like any of that tension between the two of them.
I know. It's like so sad.
Just felt very underutilized.
It did. Like, we just want to see more of that.
Yeah.
Paul then asks Tinashe, Porsha, and Adam questions. He asks Tinashe how she deals with failure, and she says she thinks she's faced a lot of moments where she could have taken it as a failure, as there have been times where missions seemed really difficult, where they all didn't really know how to get through it, but in those moments, it was really important to choose to be resilient.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's definitely something Tinashe has done a great job with. She's never really given up. There's never been a point where she's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, she's kind of fought through everything, and I think that's what's made her game like so impressive, but also just having such a stellar like social game as well.
Oh, she was just super likable. Like, everyone liked her, and Porsha and Adam. Oh, yeah, everyone loved them.
Oh yeah.
Porsha thinks Tinashe is a competitor and has such a good poker face and that you can't tell who is and isn't her friend.
Exactly, and that's why she's here.
Oh, definitely. Tinashe tells them she's still here and regardless of whatever comes at her. Kat says Tinashe is super capable and one of the contenders to go all the way.
And again, at this point, it's like, okay, Tinashe's winning. Like, this is so obvious.
Oh, yeah. Tinashe asks Paul if he feels that he deserves to win over the people who have been there longer. And then he says he's shown endurance in his life because he never gives up. He never gave up and he kept going and going.
Paul and what we get here is a very effective moment with him. But again, this feels like a final tribal council. Like, that's what this feels like to me.
I will say it was like nice that he opened up and it was very effective, but yeah, it definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it definitely was effective, but it was also like, you know.
Yeah, it just felt like an actual like final thing.
Yeah.
Paul tells them at his lowest point in his life, he was stabbed 11 times. He was out at a nightclub and got into an altercation when he was like 23, living his dream, and all of a sudden he's fighting death. So not only was it a low point, it was a high point for him too, since it changed his thinking, his mindset, and how he lives. And then Shatner asks him if it carries over into this experiment, which he says his first 4 days he was in bottom 3, and now he's sitting there at this table, and so it's kind of been his life, starting at the bottom and rising up. And then Shatner tells everyone he can see how wonderful they all are, and that they're all extraordinary. What he's going to ask them to do is to get ready to leave, and they'll meet back there and vote on who is mission critical.
And I don't know about you, but Shatner just seemed like so done in this episode. Like
he was
so checked out. He was ready to just like peace out of there and like go on his like yacht or go on a jet or something and just like
he definitely feels he's probably just like tired and he's like, I just want this to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really blame him at all because this wasn't very exciting. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm gonna say it again. This just felt like jury questions. Like that's all this felt like to me. I think that this should have been a jury. I think there was a much easier way where they could have brought them all in. They all could have kind of talked about like, you know, their experience. Like there's so much more they could have done here. And it just felt very like just unexciting.
Yeah, definitely. It was just like very underwhelming.
Yeah.
The AI tells them to suit up for the imminent extraction of 2 crew members. Adam says when push comes to shove, he will fight for what he wants. He's stronger than he looks, and people are going to have these subconscious biases of keeping their friends there in the experiment. At this point, it's just about who's best and who's played the game best.
Yeah.
Kat says the minute she got this call to come to Mars, her whole brain clicked, and it's like now she's in winning mode, and it doesn't turn off until it's over. Shatner tells them they have the inevitable job of voting which 3 of them are mission critical and which 2 are not. And then the AI tells them to cast votes from 1 to 5, including themselves, 1 being who they think is mission critical and 5 who they think should be extracted. All right. The first person mission critical ends up being Tinashe, which is like no shock, no surprise there, no shock.
Oh, yeah, that was obvious.
Like everybody was like raving about her.
Yeah.
And then she's very excited to be in the top 3. Kat says she thinks that was a good choice. Tinashe played it really well, and she is just solid. And no matter what happened, she never lost her cool. The second person mission critical ends up being Porsha. Another no surprise.
Yeah.
Because she was also like a really likable person.
Definitely.
And she was always so good. Adam says he knows there have been moments where he's been lying to himself and saying he's not competitive, but he is. He wants to complete this experiment and win. Paul says this is a competitive group, but he's a survivor because in near-death situations, he's always coming out living and on top. Kat says it's bittersweet. They're all a family, and none of them want to go home, and none of them want to see anyone else go home. And then Adam says he's feeling a little like he might have diarrhea, but he thinks that he's gonna hold it in, and because he's wearing white. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was fun. It was funny.
It was. Paul says he's there to stay, and he wants to stay because he feels like he's critical, and for the role he's played in this, he thinks he played it to the fullest. Oh.
And then we get to the reveal.
Woo! The third and final person, mission critical, ends up being Adam, which
Thank God.
No surprise. Woo! Adam says this feels right that the OG3 are in the final 3, and not only that, he gets to be there with 2 of his closest friends in this entire experience.
Yeah, I mean, this was best case scenario. I feel like the OG3, they were the most rootable. They were the most compelling to watch. They focused the most on their trio. I think we pretty much knew once that trio was formed, one of them was probably going to win the game. So I wasn't shocked to see this is what happened at all.
Oh, definitely. Like, sometimes I do wish we got to see more like game talk with them, but yeah.
Yeah, me too.
The AI tells Kat and Paul they're not mission critical and must leave the hab immediately. Kat says she's honestly feeling disappointed about being extracted. She really thought she was going to go all the way. Adam, Tinashe, and Porsha put their time in, so they deserve it. Paul says it's never fun getting eliminated, but for him to make it this far, that's an accomplishment in itself. And he's just thankful for this experience, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say about Kat and Paul. I'll say the same thing I've been saying. Like, I just think, in my opinion, I just feel like you didn't need them here. I don't think you needed any of the newbies here. I think they should just start out with Andy, replace Christopher Mintz-Plasse, who didn't even want to be there, if you remember. Like, he literally said in the first episode, he's like, I was going to leave anyway. So you could have just replaced him and put in Andy Richter, and I think this would have been a much better season as a whole, because I just feel like Kat and Paul, it's not like they didn't bring anything to the table. It's just they came in so late. It was very hard to find a reason to really root for them. And also just kind of made me question, like, is this really fair to be bringing in people like halfway through the season when so much game has been played out? It always felt like they were at a disadvantage, and I just wasn't a huge fan of it. So yeah, honestly, like, I'm glad they didn't make it to the end, just because, like, I don't think it would have been fair. But I also feel like they just weren't as exciting to watch.
Definitely. Like, the only person that was really entertaining was Andy, and the others were just not that great. Like, the one who got first out, like, I don't even remember her. And then Kat and Paul were just kind of meh.
Yeah.
Shatner tells the OG3 they all got the exact same score, which they're excited about the teamwork. And then he tells them they're equally mission critical, but tomorrow only one of them will be the brightest star in the galaxy. And then Tinashe says she loves Porsha and Adam, but this is a tough competition, and when it comes to a competition, she doesn't come to play. Paul says finishing in the top 5 is an amazing feat. Kat says she didn't really know what to expect, but she knew it would be amazing, and it's been beyond anything that she could have ever imagined. And then she high-fives Paul and says, ride or die, we came together, so we're going out together.
And they did definitely go out together. So we get to this next section of the episode that I thought was easily the weakest of the 3. Like, out of everything they did, I thought it was just not good at all. But the final 3 then celebrate making it together. They knew it would be them there. Porsha says it was pretty easy for her. She was definitely going to go with her day ones. Porsha then tells him that she did put Kat above Paul, which Adam did as well, but Tinashe didn't, and Adam tells her that it's smart. Tinashe tells him that she saw what she needed to see earlier, and we get this segment where she talks about how, as much as she loves Kat, she feels like she had some sort of attitude of she wanted to win by any means necessary, and Adam tells them that they never made some sort of deal, which Porsha says it was just genuine, which is not true. They literally said in an episode, like, we're going to stick together. So they did make a deal. Tinashe tells them that even her picking Lance as mission specialist, she knew it was a strategy that didn't make sense. Porsha tells them that she wants to have someone do something for you and bring it up for themselves. Tinashe tells them she also knows that energy throughout, it was kind of like, she did everything for them. And yeah, I mean, I think she very much did kind of play up that game where it's like, you need to keep me here. I'm important for you and things like that. And I think Kat just did that a little bit too much. She was very just very pandering towards them. And I think that really would have captured the game again if we had like a jury vote of sorts. So Tinashe says the Kat's not there to cook for them tonight, but honestly, the kitchen is closed. And the AI then lets them know that it's their last night on Mars. A good night's sleep is recommended ahead of their final mission tomorrow. So the next day, the AI then gives them a reminder that the winner's message will be transmitted to all of people on Earth. Porsha and Adam then joke what they would say as their final transmission. Porsha then says that being at the very end with Adam and Tinashe is the best feeling, but waiting on Shatner, she's sitting there scared. Tinashe really has no idea what Shatner has up his sleeve. She's just kind of waiting with bated breath. And he tells them that it's a big day. They endured cold and heat and a lack of sleep and isolation to prove they're the brightest star in the galaxy. But now it all comes down to this. Out there on Martian desert, there are 2 satellite towers, one of which will broadcast their message to the entire world. But they need to get there first. And the first to broadcast their message will be the brightest star in the galaxy. But we're not quite there yet. Instead, we have this moment where they get these tablets, and it's a game of knowledge trivia from their time there on Mars and form their HAB manual. He hopes that they've been studying, and Adam says he did read the HAB manual any chance he got. It might be a little muddy. Shatner then tells him that they've been on Mars a long time and should know everything. Porsha then says that this is going to be pretty difficult. Shatner then tells them that the first 2 to finish the questions will open their airlock and race in their rovers to the satellite towers. But the last one through the airlock, their experiment is over. And on their tablets are the questions. And after being tempted to do it all season, Shatner then decides to push the emergency button, being told, again, I don't know why we're spending time on this, especially because like literally nothing happens. He's like, evacuate now. And they just stay there anyway. So Porsha says that she did it on the first day. I didn't think it was a funny moment when I was like, oh, that's what that button did. I thought that was kind of funny. But they start the quiz, and I don't know. I just feel like
I will say one thing that was funny was having like Ariana and Grande as one of the answers, and and Phoebe and Chandler is one of them.
That was funny. But I just feel like this was like easily the lamest thing they could have done for the finale.
Yeah, it was so dumb.
Yeah, in my opinion, I feel like you could have scrapped this entirely. It very much felt like to me, I don't know if you agreed, it felt like they needed to rush through this because they had 5 instead of 3. And I feel like if they didn't have those like returning, like those new players coming in like halfway through the season, probably would have just been a final 3 in this finale. And it probably would have flowed a lot better if they did that. You don't even need this part at all. It feels also very just kind of like unfair to whoever makes it to 3 that they don't get to make, compete in like the broadcast and things like that. I just really didn't like this. And especially it being on a fucking tablet, it just felt so like unexciting. Like, I don't know why they decided to do it at all.
Like, what was the point of the tablets?
Yeah, like I don't know why they couldn't just like have asked them like verbally, or like there's got to be something more you do to make this work. And this was just not fun to watch at all. But they said the questions were admittedly pretty hard. I will say I like that they most just like kind of a crapshoot in terms of like Mars trivia and things like that.
Yeah, it was just like multiple choice.
Yeah, you also had to like listen to the AI and kind of like, pay attention to what the AI was saying. And after a very tight race, Adam is then the first to enter the airlock and to proceed to the satellite launch site, which I was very surprised about.
Yeah, I was shook because I literally thought like Tinashe and Porsha were going to be the final 2.
Yeah, I was shocked when Adam got it immediately.
But I mean, good for Adam. I love him.
Yeah, definitely. Tinashe says that he rushed through the doors first, which means it leaves her and Porsha. She was like, she's got to stay focused. The AI then warns them that their life support is offline in 1 minute. Porsha then says that it's the final moment. One of them is not going to be walking through that door. The AI then warns them yet again that life support is offline in 45 seconds. The next person to answer correctly will be mission critical. The other will be extracted. Tinashe then gets the answer correct. And with that, Tinashe and Adam are the final 2. Porsha is now...
At this point, I'm like, okay, I think Tinashe is winning.
Yeah, the AI then lets Porsha know that she has failed the quiz and as such is not mission critical. And then she talks about how this experience was not what she thought it was going to be. She's a fighter and knew it was there, but it's recharged and she's ready to go home and conquer stuff and get busy. She says she had a great time, met a lot of great people, did some crazy stuff. This has taken true dedication and she loves to live by example. And for her daughter to see this, it would be so positive and motivating to see that she did it. She's excited to finally come home. And I don't know. I just felt like this was just very rushed and just very kind of unceremonious the way they wrapped this up for Porsha. It's like, oh my God, Porsha's third. Anyway, let's get to the final two. Like they just breezed right through this pretty much.
I don't know. They gave her like an outro, but it was very rushed. Like I wish they just gave her more because like she was like one of the heart of the seasons for sure. And like,
she was easily
so strong.
Yeah, she was easily one of the most, I think, memorable characters of this entire season. I think she was so great to watch. And I also just feel like, again, I don't know why they didn't just have them do this final transmission as a final three. I don't know why they had to do it as just the two of them. I think it would have been far more exciting if, like, you know, you had the three of them and one of them got, like, I just think it would be more exciting to watch it that way. But unfortunately, it's not what we got. And it's just kind of a very, like I said, very quick end for Porsha, who I think was just such a huge character this entire season. I think she was so much fun to watch.
She was another one who was like main character energy.
Yeah, she really was, and I thought there was a possibility.
Honestly, main character energy people are like her and Marshawn.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I'd say all of the
also Ariel too.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just again, very quick end for Porsha. Didn't really like the way this wrapped up. And I didn't really like the way this finale ended either, which Allie's going to talk about the last like 10 minutes of this.
All right. With two remaining, all that's left to focus on is the final broadcast. Tinashe says Adam had a pretty good start over her at this point, so she was doing her best to catch up to him. Adam says he wants to win this experiment so badly because he loves patches. They both race on their rovers to Shatner, and he tells them there's a brief in there over how to assemble a satellite. The AI tells them in order to transmit their message to Earth, they must complete a 3-phase mission to power up their satellite. In phase 1, they will connect 3 solar panels to each other and the satellite using 5 cables, but be careful to use the correct length of cables. They are not safe. In phase 2, they will use 3 pairs of wires to complete the assembly of their satellite. And then in phase 3, they will remove the nose scope, raise the satellite, insert the disc containing the message, and then begin transmitting to Earth. What do you think of this one?
I mean, again, I like the idea of the transmission and things like that. I just wish that there was a little bit more spice to it. I think it would have been more exciting if, like, it was again, I think if it was the 3 of them, it would have been more exciting to watch. And it also really just made the quiz feel unnecessary in comparison. Like, this felt like this was like the main event, and the quiz was like a prologue. Like, it just didn't feel that exciting.
I think it was definitely like intense to watch, but I wish it was better. It would have been way better if it was the 3 of them instead of just 2.
They also could have done it as like maybe the final 5 does this transmission, and then whoever wins gets to determine like who the final 3 is, and then they go to the final 3, and then you have the jury. Like, I think a jury vote would have been a lot more exciting here.
I think so too. Like, that would have been so much more spicy.
Yeah.
Adam decides to not read these directions because in his entire life he has gone without instructions and is thinking why he would start today.
I mean, he tried, but it doesn't really work.
No. He quickly regrets as they both really struggle with the cables until he then pulls out the directions, realizing his cables are in the incorrect position. Once he figures it out, it basically becomes neck and neck between the two of them. With almost all of his wires connected, Adam raises the satellite and successfully inserts his broadcast to Earth. Which is like, honestly, I'm shook. Like, good for him. But like, I literally thought Tinashe was going to get that. But awesome.
Yeah, I just feel like the entire, not just this episode, the entire season, the way they've been showing Tinashe, everyone talking about just like how much she, you know, how grateful they are for her in the game, how much she's done for them, talking about, you know, the impact Tinashe's had, the fight that she's had, how much she's persevered. I just thought they were really hyping her up to be like the favorite to win. It felt like that all season. And with Adam, it's not like he didn't have an arc. Like, he started off and he was in the bottom 3. And so he had this like underdog arc of sorts.
Definitely.
And to me, like his best moment in the season still is when Andy was base commander and he was going to put Porsha and Tinashe in there, and he then convinced him to put in Kat and Paul. I thought that was just an amazing moment from him, and something that I don't think the show is focused on that enough. Honestly, I thought that was so great from him. But I just didn't see him as the winner. I saw him as like more like a runner-up, and
I had like 3rd or 4th place vibes from him.
Yeah, honestly, I would have added, like, if you would have told me that Adam wins out of Porsha and Tinashe, I would have said, like, no, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think it's probably Tinashe. I think Adam's best chance probably was probably against like Kat or Paul. I think he probably I thought he would have won in that scenario, but no, he wins the entire thing here, and I was just very surprised with how it ended up going.
Oh, but I was definitely very surprised and shocked. But I mean, watching it, good for him though, because like he's very likable and he like really killed that, and like he had lots of passion.
Yeah.
We get to hear his transmission in which he talks about the beginning. Talks about beginning his journey on the Red Planet and how he had no idea what to expect, but quickly learned that being hot doesn't make you a great astronaut, even though it should. More importantly, he learned life is about the journey and the connections one makes, and to let the loved ones everyone is close to, how much they mean to you as often as possible. And he sends them all love and can't wait to see them back on Earth.
I'm sorry, this was so stupid. Like the way they did this, trying to make you think that like this was actually like broadcasted like all over the world. It was so obviously like CGI. They did not convince me at all that this was real. It was so bad.
Oh, it was definitely just CGI.
Yeah, it was very laughable. And like his transition was good, but like the CGI is what overtook it for me. It was so bad.
Oh, it was not good at all.
Yeah.
Oh god. And with that, Adam has won the experiment and is the brightest star within the galaxy. Tinashe is very happy he has won, especially with how much growth he's had throughout this entire competition. And then he officially gets his final patch.
And that's it. So yeah, the whole thing, like I said, pretty much just leads with someone getting their patch. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot more they could have done here. I think that you still could have had that transmission, but I think that person maybe should have they're in the final 3, and then you could do the quiz, and then you can have the jury come in there and kind of do a similar format to what we saw, but maybe they get to, I don't know, there's a couple things they could have done. Like maybe they get to determine who's in the final 3, and then you do the transmission. I just feel like the quiz can be eliminated entirely. Like it was just completely unnecessary.
The quiz should just be verbally, and that's it.
Well, I don't think they need it in general. I think that they could easily just do have the final 5 with a jury coming in, and then you do the transmission. I don't think you need all this other stuff. And yeah, I mean, it just really sums up my thoughts on this show overall. I mean, I do think that it definitely was entertaining. I was never necessarily bored out of my skull watching this show. No. I certainly enjoyed it more than a Beyond the Edge or something like that.
Yeah, this show actually had a lot of good people, and and it had some good episodes and moments. They just needed to add more and then change up a lot.
Yeah, I just feel like it was very sloppily put together. I think that,
and they didn't really think, I guess, when they were making the show.
No, I don't. I honestly don't think they put any thought into anything except the missions. I feel like that's the only thing they really put any effort into, because everything else, it just felt so haphazardly put together for me. I think if they would have just had the original 8 or 9 people that they had, it would have been fine. And I think if it could have just been a nice tight 10 episode season, and wouldn't have had all this extraneous stuff that we didn't need. And I think it would have been a lot better as a result, because I do think the first half at least was actually pretty fun. I was enjoying what we were getting. I just feel like once those, Andy and all of them came in, it really just started to drag out for me. And I feel like they just didn't really know what to do with it at that point other than the missions. I think there was a lot more that they could have done here in terms of showing us more dynamics between everyone, showing us more of the, scheming and gameplay that's going on. I think that would have been more exciting to watch. But also just do something more to make this exciting. I think that, I mentioned it before, like showing where people were voting and things like that. Like it felt like they put so much focus on the production. They didn't put any focus on like anything else. Like that's all they cared about is just, we have this fun idea of a simulation. We're going to show all these different, missions and things like that. How's it going to work? Who cares? We'll figure it out as we go along. Like that's how it felt to me. So yeah, I wouldn't say I didn't like this show. I just feel pretty underwhelmed by it. I think that this is just
that's the perfect word for it. Like it's very underwhelming. It just didn't have like as much as it should have, and they should have put a lot more thought into things. And like, yeah, it just feels like it was very half-assed at times.
Yeah. Now, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. Adam Rippon has since come out and basically said like, after the whole controversy with Lance Armstrong, apparently what he said was like even worse than what we saw. Like, and it was so bad, like it basically ruined like most of the cast's like motivation to play the game. That's why so many of them ended up basically volunteering to leave and things like that. And nobody really like had an eye or anything. Bad. So it does kind of feel like that really kind of halted a lot of the momentum of the season, which is unfortunate. Just but because, honestly,
okay, that makes sense with like how Ariel and Marshawn were very checked out after that. Like, yeah, those two were like the stars, like the first like episode, and then they went from being like after that, they're like, nope.
Yeah, he basically said that like a lot of people just didn't really want to play anymore. They just didn't find it as fun. And I don't necessarily blame them, especially because like from what he's saying, it seems like even though what Lance said was already really bad, it seems like he continued to say even more stuff that we didn't see. So that's bad. not great at all. And so it probably was just very hard to like edit around that. But I think what they probably should have done is put a lot more emphasis on how much this is impacting the game and things like that. Like it felt like they didn't know what to do when something happened. They didn't know what to do with the additional celebronauts and things like that. I think that they really didn't need them there. You could have just had Andy Richter and you didn't really need the others because, I mean, Amanda, who's Amanda? Like she wasn't into the game at all. And then Kat and Paul were very just like
Ashley or something.
Ashley, yeah. What did I say? Amanda? Ashley, yeah. It wasn't.
She's honestly very forgettable.
Yeah, she was just like, who even was she? And then Kat and Paul was.
I like barely remember her.
Yeah, she like remember she like left because she like fell asleep.
That was so funny.
And then Kat and Paul, I mean, it's not like I dislike them or anything. I just feel like they weren't exactly like fun to watch. And I just think that they needed to do a lot more with them if they really wanted them to like, again, there needs to be a more like equal playing field. I think there's just a lot more they could have done.
Yeah. And then like Andy was like the only one who was actually like had potential until he kind of screwed
himself. Agreed. He was the only one that I think actually could have done something, and then unfortunately shot himself in the foot. So that's kind of where we end things.
That was more so Kat just being bitter.
Yeah, I that's the other thing that pisses me off is that it seemed like to me any conflict that they really could have focused on was just very short-lived. And that's not their fault, obviously, like, but I feel like they could have shown more of it. Like, I wanted to see more of the beefing between, like, Andy and Kat. I wanted to see more of the beefing between, even though it's a very sore subject, Lance and Ariel. I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more of what happened between Lance and Marshawn. It seemed like there was some tension there, and we didn't really get to see much of that. I wanted to see more of everyone going against Porsha. Like, there was so much more potential they had in terms of like gameplay, in terms of entertainment, and they just didn't want to focus much on it. They focused a lot more on just the random stuff. And so I kind of leave the show just feeling like this was just very inconsistent to me. There were points that were high, for sure. There were definitely points that were effective. But overall, I just feel like there was so much more they could have done with this. And by the end, I'm just like, why did you even make this a reality show? Like, it's not even anything that exciting. It seems like they did it solely just for the missions. That was like the only thing that they were like, this would probably be cool to watch. But after a while, it just really got old for me. And I just really wasn't.
It's hard to say if there's going to be a second season. Like, it could just be like a 1-season show.
I don't know what you do from here. Like, they're literally on Mars. They've done every mission they possibly could. Like, what else do they do at that point?
Unless they just make it like something very different, like a sequel series.
Yeah, like maybe a different location or something that could work. But then is it even the same show if they do that? So I don't think they're gonna come back. I haven't seen like anybody talk about this show. So I don't see it happening.
I've only seen like very few people talk about it. Like my coworker Mark talks about it with me, and then like our friend Mark.
Yeah.
Like very few people have watched.
That's the other thing. I feel like this is a show that's already very hard to sell people on. So they should have worked like twice as hard to like get people into the show. Like Claim to Fame, that's also a hard one to sell people on. Like it sounds kind of stupid just from reading the premise, but because the gameplay is like so juicy and things like that, you know, that's really like sucks you in. And that just wasn't.
I will say, Claim to Fame might actually be one of the best.
Oh, it is that by far one of the best. But yeah, this just does not have the same feel at all. I just didn't really find myself that invested in a lot of what was going on. Yeah. So yeah, I was just fairly underwhelmed. I think overall I'd probably give it like a C+. That's probably where I'm at in terms of the season.
I'd probably give it like sorry, go ahead.
I was thinking B- for a while, but just with how it all ended and how much underutilized like potential there was, I just felt like it just was not nearly as exciting as I wanted it to be.
I'm honestly going to give it a B- just because like I like most of the cast besides like a couple people. I mean, obviously then there's some people I just don't hate, but I don't love either. But
and then there's Lance.
But like someone like an Ariel, Tinashe, Porsha, Adam, Andy, Marshawn, like all of them, like I love them. And like with some entertainment and like some banter, things like that, it's very entertaining in certain things. But yeah, it definitely has a lot of improvements if they're gonna have another season. But overall, probably B- for me.
Yeah,
because I can't go higher than that.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Because like,
but yeah,
because I don't think I like hated the show. It just has a lot of flaws.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that was Stars on Mars. Not really much more to talk about here. For those who watched our podcast, thank you for watching. I know that there wasn't a lot of coverage of the show, and so it's kind of hard to get people, you know, excited about it. And we tried. We definitely tried to like, you know, stay as excited as we could. But I think as the episodes went on, it just became harder to really discuss a lot of the show because there just wasn't a lot happening after a certain point. I think especially after like Ariel left and after you know, that happened, like I think especially there just wasn't as much to discuss after that. But yeah, other than that, I think that's really all we need to discuss here. Is there anything else you want to say before we start plugging other things?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it was definitely a fun show to watch. But it's going to be tough if there's going to be a season 2. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, definitely just need to fix a lot of improvements and just make a lot of improvements, fix a lot of flaws. Then it'd be way better. And yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I think that's all we really need to talk about. Let's pivot over to stuff that we're actually excited to discuss. Right. We have another show that is wrapping up, that did wrap up, Claim to Fame. We have to watch the last episodes of that.
Yeah, we're going to do the last 2 episodes like on Tuesday, I think, is what we decided.
Yeah, probably Tuesday.
Very excited. It sucks it's already ending because it's such a good show and such a great season. But I'm very excited to watch and cover the last 2 episodes.
Yes. Very much so.
And also tomorrow we are going to be doing the last 2 weeks, week 3 and 4, for Big Brother, which is like
a lot to talk about.
A lot to talk about because we've just been so busy and stuff. We just couldn't do the last 2. We just have to do them together.
Yeah.
Very excited to talk about them though.
Yeah, definitely.
And also we might have a guest as well.
Yes, and also eventually, you know, Survivor's going to be starting up in the next couple weeks, so we will definitely be covering that once it starts, as well as eventually like the Traders and the Mole, the Circle. We'll get to those eventually. Who knows when at this point?
Secret
Oh yeah, that I forgot about that. But yeah, we'll get to those eventually. Who knows at this point when we actually do? But yeah,
those ones are more just like if we have time, we'll like watch them and then we'll do a season review.
Yeah, pretty much. But
basically,
yeah.
basically for that, we decided that we'd probably just do like key points of each episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, other than that, though, I think that pretty much does it for this episode of A Conversation with Kely. If you did watch Stars of Mars, let us know what you guys thought of it. What you think of this finale? What did you think of the way everything wrapped up? Do you agree that it was very, like, underwhelming and just not very exciting to watch? Because I kind of got that vibe the entire time. It felt like they were just kind of ready to wrap this up. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And remember, couples who podcast together, stay together. We will see you guys later.